listening to the Bible Chat podcast. Real faith, real life, no fake stuff. This isn't about playing church or sugarcoating the truth. It's about honest conversation, real struggles, and walking with God in the midst of a satanic world. If you're ready for real truth, you're in the right place. So let's jump into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Bible Chat podcast. I'm your host, Dave McMullen, and I am glad you have joined me today. And it would be great if you guys could follow the show on our social media platforms, right? Who isn't on social media? We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and we just started on Rumble. If you do a search for the Bible Chat podcast, you will surely find us on all the platforms I just mentioned. And I would love to hear from you guys. You are more than welcome to reach out to me on our social media platforms, even by direct message or just leaving a comment. Or you can simply send me an email. Who doesn't like to get an email? I'd love to hear from you guys. If you want to shoot me an email, that would be great. It's BibleChat007 at AOL.com. It's BibleChat007 at AOL.com. I would love some feedback from our listeners. Also, guys, if you're interested in being a guest on the show, please contact me. You don't have to be here in studio. We can do a Zoom recording, strictly audio, no video. And if you are in the area and you know me and you want to jump over here on a Saturday morning and do a episode with me, I'd love that too. So if you don't have an opportunity to come in, we can do, as like I said, a Zoom recording. Or if you want to come here and jump into my studio here in the basement, we can do that as well. But if you're interested in being a guest, let me know. So that would be great, guys. So enough of that stuff. Let's jump into today's Bible chat. And let me ask you something right out of the gate, right out of the chute. Here's the question. Not only asking you, but I'm asking myself. And most of these podcasts, I'm not preaching at you. I'm preaching at myself, right? But here's the question that we're going to open up with today. Who's leading your home front? Listen up. Who's leading your home front, right? Not who's paying the bills. That's not leading. Not who's the loudest. That's certainly not leading. Not who makes the most decisions. That's definitely not the person leading all the time. But who is setting the spiritual thermostat? I love that, man. Think about that. Think about your home. Think about the daily in and outs, the daily function. But who is setting the thermostat, the spiritual thermostat? Who is establishing the standards, right? Who is modeling Christ when no one's watching? I sound like an owl. Who? But all jokes aside, who's setting that spiritual thermostat? Somebody is. Who's establishing the standards at your home front? Somebody is. Who's modeling Christ when no one's watching? Because whether we admit it or not, every home front's being led by someone, by something, or by the culture. Now, we just did an episode last week that was, listen, it was probably the best episode we've done here at the Bible Chat podcast. We got a lot of listeners from last week. We gained a lot of social media followers from last week's episode. We talked about the family drifting into the culture. Go back and check out that episode, last week's episode. Because if you're not leading the home front, someone else is, something else is, or the culture is. And we certainly don't want that. And if you don't lead your home intentionally, the world will have no problem leading it for you. You can count your dollar on that, Jack. You can count on that. If you don't lead your home front, pardon me, if you don't lead your home front intentionally, the world will have no problem with that, right? Today, we're not talking about control. Control can be dangerous. We're not talking about perfection. We're talking about responsibility, man. And listen, again, I'm not preaching at you. I'm preaching at myself. This is like a podcast that I'm leading so I can listen. I do go back and listen to these. Every episode I listen to after the fact. Because a lot of this stuff, a lot of these episodes are built around my home front, my life, my situations. See, leadership at the home means you understand that your attitude shapes the thermostat. Your attitude shapes the atmosphere. Leadership at home, you got to understand this, guys. Whoever's leading your house is shaping the whole giddy up, right? Your words shape identity, right? Your habits, the day in and day out, these things shape the home front, right? Remember what Joshua said back in the Old Testament? As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That wasn't a suggestion, guys. Now I'm talking to you one-on-one here. I'm talking to you and myself. Joshua didn't make a suggestion. That was a declaration, right? Because your home doesn't drift towards godliness. I know that. Listen, if you take your hands off your home front, you just let it function on its own. Let it, I'm not suggesting this. This is only a metaphor. But take your hands off the home front and see if it naturally drifts towards God, because it will not. It'll drift towards the culture. It'll drift towards chaos. It will drift towards Antichrist. Right? And that's what we certainly don't want. If faith isn't intentional at your house, listen, I can't stress this more. The culture will be, right? It's got to be intentional, guys. The home front isn't going to drift towards God. It doesn't work that way. You probably already know that. So who is really setting the tone at the home front? Are you leading spiritually? Or are you just managing chaos? I love that, guys. Because sometimes I feel like I'm managing chaos. Now, I'm probably a big part of that chaos. But managing chaos isn't going to cut it, man. See, leadership at home is not about control. It's about responsibility. I know, responsibility, man. Sometimes I daydream about, I'm 55 years old, so I grew up through the 80s, the heyday. Best music ever produced, best movies ever produced. The stuff we hear and watch today is garbage, right? And leadership at the home front is not about control. It's about responsibility. And sometimes back to what I was making my point about growing up in the 80s. I daydream sometimes about how there was no responsibilities, man. Sometimes responsibility can be tough. You used to just wake up on a Saturday morning, jump on your bike, and you were gone. You know what I'm talking about if you're my age. We leave 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, sometimes even earlier. Man, we wouldn't come home till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. Nobody cared, in a good way. But see, as we got older, we had to start responsibility, had to start being an adult, right? And leadership at the home front is not about control, it's about responsibility. What leadership at the home front actually means. What does it actually mean? We're going to go over a couple things, right? Leadership is influence. Your attitude sets the atmosphere. Your tone sets the temperature. Your consistency builds the home front. What are we being consistent about? Right? Our attitudes. Our attitude sets the whole thing, man. The tone. What tone are we in? That sets the thermostat. Consistency. Right? Back to Joshua 24:15. As for me and my house will serve the Lord. Leadership declares direction, guys. Leadership is servanthood, not ego. And that's a tough one, man. Coming home after a long day of whatever you do, you don't feel like servant. You don't feel like serving other people, but man, that's where it starts. You want people to follow you at the home front? Start serving them. Not with an ego, neither. Oh, I do this and I do that. Zip your lip and just do it. And do it in the love of Christ, right? I mean, the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, verse 45, man, is very clear. For even the Son of Man, Jesus, came not to be served, but to serve. We got God coming out of eternity, taking the form of a man. He's God. He came to serve, not to be served. And we got to be just like him, right? Jesus led by serving. Authority in the kingdom is upside down, man. We know that, right? If you want to be first in the kingdom, you're last. If you're last in the kingdom, you'll be first. It's upside down. The loudest voice isn't always the strongest leader. That's such a turnoff. Oh, you're going to lead with a loud voice? Good luck with that. Tried that. That doesn't work. You want to shout and scream and carry on? Good luck. You'll lose your home front almost immediately. If you're demanding respect but not modeling Christ, that's not leadership. That ain't going to work. Right? You demand the respect. Oh, I demand respect. Well, you better be modeling Christ. That's how you gain respect. Right? And here's a couple points. Here's a couple points, guys, to strengthen the leadership at your home front. Right? Here's a couple points to strengthen the leadership at your home front, man. See, the number one thing, guys, listen up. The number one thing to strengthen the leadership at your home front is prayer. And it's the most disciplined thing, man. It's the most, for me, it's one of the toughest things, is consistent, day in, day out prayer. It always begins with prayer. See, Jesus didn't wait for the day to get busy before he was seeking the Father. He met with the Father first thing, right? Before the crowds. If you're a Bible student, you know the Gospels, man. Them crowds, oh man, they were the multiples. I mean, thousands were following Jesus. Thousands, literally. So before the crowds, before the miracles, before the ministry, there was prayer. It's quite consistent. You know, check out Mark, the Gospel of Mark, chapter 1, verse 35, man. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a place where he prayed. If the Son of God needed quiet time with the Father before the day began, how much more do we need it, guys? Early morning prayer before work, before the gym, before whatever you do. Maybe not before the coffee. Maybe get up, have a cup of coffee. We need that coffee, right? Then get into prayer, man. That's the number one thing for leadership at the home front. It starts, the posture of a leader starts on his knees in prayer, right? Number two is the emotional side of a leader at the home front. Emotional leadership at the home front means you set the tone, man. You're setting the tone for your spouse, for your kids. If you're a single dad, if you're a single mom, it don't matter what it is. If you bring anger, chaos will follow, guys. We know that. You're running around always angry, always hot-headed. That brings chaos. You can count on chaos following. If you bring patience, you'll see love grow, right? Strong leaders don't control their actions. They lead to control their reactions, right? Your family shouldn't have to walk on eggshells around your emotions, right? Strong leaders don't control their actions. They learn to control their reactions, right? Proverbs 15:1 tells us this. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger, right? That is so true. I love the Proverbs. That's 15:1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. How are we reacting to things at the home front? Right? Such a big part of setting that spiritual tone, the spiritual atmosphere, right? Real leadership at the home front means your strength is seen in your self-control, right? Meekness, right? Meekness is the ability to kind of like lash out. Yeah, something happens at the home front, you can immediately lash out, immediately react in anger or whatever. But meekness is the ability to stay in self-control, right? Remember that, Proverbs 15:1, such a great verse, such a great proverb. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So true, right? Number 3, moral leadership. So important at the home front. We got prayer, number 1. We got emotional leadership, number 2. Number 3 is moral leadership, man. Moral leadership at the home front means your character matches your words. Oh, boy. Moral leadership at the home front, listen up, means your character matches your words. Your family is watching how you live, not just listening to what you say. They're watching your actions, not your words. Integrity is when you live the same behind closed doors as you do in public, right? Integrity is when you live the same behind closed doors as you do in public. And another big thing, guys, too, is children don't need lectures, right? They follow example. You know, you can tell your kids, you know, you can lecture your kids about all kinds of stuff. Oh, don't do this, don't do that. You should this and you should that and all this different things. Listen, kids don't follow lectures, man. They follow example. Be the example at your home front. Be an example in front of your spouse. Be an example in front of your kids. Never mind the pointing the finger at them. Because the minute you start saying you better not be doing this or that to your children, you better not be doing it. Right? We talked about that a little bit last week. You're telling your kids you better not be smoking weed or smoking cigarettes or Black and Miles, or you better not be drinking. But, you're having a beer at night. You're eating the gummies. You know what I'm saying? That don't work. You're just nothing but a hypocrite now. So if faith is real in your life, it will show up in your honesty. It will show up in your decisions. And the way you treat people inside your home, that is the most important thing. If your faith is real, it'll show up by the way that you treat people at the home front. Right? Back to Proverbs chapter 20, verse 7. 20, verse 7. The righteous man walks in integrity. His children are blessed after him, man. There's a little bit of there's some good stuff right there, right? Now, see, Proverbs, it isn't a guaranteed thing. It's a proverb, right? It doesn't guarantee this, but it sure helps. The righteous man walks in his integrity. His children are blessed after him, right? You want your children to be blessed after you? Well, you walk in integrity. That's going to start the whole process. See, real leadership at the home front starts with a life that backs up the message. Really. Leadership at the home front starts with a life that backs up the message. If you're a disciple of Christ, well, that better show up at the home front. Not just at church. Oh, look at me. Not just at Bible study or small group or whatever you want to call it. Not at the workplace where everyone knows, oh, here comes so-and-so with his Bible. Oh, he's great. That better show up at the home front, man. Right? And my last point here is consistency, guys. Man, we need consistency, right? The number one thing for leadership at the home front is prayer. We start with prayer. Number 2 is emotional leadership. We need that big time. Number 3 was moral leadership. Oh, that's so important. But here is one of the main ingredients to make this thing work is consistency. Consistency builds trust at the home front. And this is where I have to work on this, right? It's easy to be a disciple of Christ 2 or 3 days out of the week, but it needs to be 7 days out of the week, right? Consistency. When leadership is not consistent, it creates confusion, right? But when it's steady, it creates a spiritual atmosphere at your home front that can't be denied. Consistency is so important, guys. Your family shouldn't have to guess what version of you is coming home after work. Oh, how's so-and-so going to be today? Right? They shouldn't be guessing. They should know exactly what they're going to get day in, day out. Right? Real leadership means showing up the same in love, in discipline, in faith, day after day. Consistency. Little faithful habits, man, they shape the whole thing. Day in, day out. And it brings me to 1 Corinthians 15:58. This is if you follow along the show, I think this is our 35th episode. I'm not sure. Somewhere around there. But we always end with this verse. Now, we're not ending now. We're about to wrap this thing up. We're getting close, so hang in there. But 1 Corinthians 15:58 kind of plugged this in here about consistency. Think about this. When sometimes maybe you wake up and you say, man, this thing isn't working. I do this, I do that. I'm consistent. I pray, blah, blah, blah. None of it's working. Well, listen, remember 1 Corinthians 58 when you're getting in that mindset, when the enemy's attacking you. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Think about that. Be steadfast, guys, day in, day out. Be immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that the labor in the Lord is not in vain. What you do at the home front daily is not in vain. Strong homes are built through consistency, guys. Through character, through just being there. Remember that. It's time to set up, man. It's time to set this thing up. Right? And the final point is protection. Now, we talked a lot about this last week. Protecting the home front. Guarding what comes into your house. What's on the TV? What are the kids watching in the bedrooms? Is TikTok shaping your family? Is Instagram? Is Netflix? Hulu and the rest of them? What's coming into your house? What voices are shaping your kids? See, you're the gatekeeper of your house, guys. Don't get that twisted. You're responsible for what comes in, what goes out, what's shaping, what's being watched, what's being listened to. You know, have those tough conversations with people at the home front. You know what I mean? If you got older kids, I know it's tough, man. They don't want you prying into their business, but you better. You know, you want TikTok shaping your kids? You want Instagram, Facebook, X? You want these things shaping your kids? Not a good idea, man. Because like we said, again, listen, you got to go back and listen to last week's episode. It was a great episode. It was about the culture, right? Because if you're not shaping your kids, if you're not molding your kids, the culture will. We called it the culture drift last week. The culture's got no problem. The culture is anti-Christ. We talked about this, right? If you're not pointing your kids to Christ, Satan will point them to the culture. That's all he wants. Get them involved with everything that's going on in the world, man. And, you know, we got some stuff going on, right? A couple episodes ago, we talked about the end times. We'll get back into that stuff into the future. That's what I love about this podcast. We can bounce around to whatever we want. The Bible Chat podcast, right? But be protecting your home front. Guard what comes into your house. What's on TV. What voices are shaping your kids. Don't let TikTok shape and mold your family. Please. Guys, and as we wrap this episode up, we're kind of getting towards the end here, man. And here's a couple things, look, guys, that will surely set you up for failure, right? These are some things that you can guarantee failure at the home front. Leading with anger. Come on, man. Leading with anger is going to get you nowhere, right? Physically being at the home front, but spiritually absent. Failure. Overworking to avoid responsibilities. Failure. Oh, I'll stay at the office a little longer tonight. Maybe when I get home, everyone will be asleep. Failure. Right? Letting the culture shape your kids. Failure. How much time are they on TikTok, Instagram, and all the rest of them? Scroll, 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 right? Letting culture shape your kids. Failure, right? And here's the tough question, right? Are you leading or just existing? Big difference, right? Are you just there, taking up space at the home front? Because I can't stress this enough, man. If you're not leading the home front, something else will. And that something else will be anti-Christ. Right? We know that. Our culture wants nothing to do with Jesus. So if we're not leading the home front, the culture will. Right? So as we're wrapping up today's episode, man, here's a couple things before we close out that you can maybe put into practice this week, right? Number one, start getting up extra early this week and pray. If you get up at 6, get up at 5. You get up at 5, get up at 4. Get up early and pray. Right? Number two, have one intentional family conversation. Right? Gather around. Get together. Have a conversation. Right? Number three, apologize when needed. It's all right to be wrong, even as the leader. Maybe you got a little loud with someone. Maybe you were ignoring someone, not really paying attention. Whatever the case may be, apologize when needed. Number four, create one family standard this week. Just one. An easy one to do is you eat together. At least dinner. Sit and eat together and pray before dinner. Create one family standard this week. That's an easy one, guys. Just say, hey, gather around the table. Let's pray. Right? Number five, establish a weekly check-in. Sit down with each person. Check out what's going on, man. That means a lot to people. Pull them aside. Hey, what's going on? Check in with them. And number six, the final one, start with a short daily devotional and gradually turn it into a family Bible study. Right? Start off small. You don't want to shock anyone. Start with a short devotional. Gradually turn that thing into a full-blown Bible study, right? And these are some of the things that can certainly help set the spiritual atmosphere in your home. See, your home doesn't need perfection. It needs consistency. You don't have to be flawless. You just have to be faithful, guys. And I'll leave you with this, as I do every episode. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. We just quoted it a minute ago. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Thanks again, guys. And always remember, this is the Bible Chat Podcast. Real faith, real life, and no fake stuff. Stay in God's word and stay out of this world. Peace out. Thanks for listening to the Bible Chat Podcast. If this episode hits home, then follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube, where you will always find real faith, real life, and no fake stuff. Stay grounded and peace out.